Introduction to Management Studio. Um, let me start by letting you know that you are meant to remote into your server through the remote connection. So when you go to the search over here, you RDP or you type in remote and you prompt this remote connection to come up. You enter the name of your SQL server or the name of your instance here, and of course your service. When you click this option, it gives you the option of entering your service account. I've been using this for a moment, so it's there. And then you hit connection, and that prompts you to sign into the server in which you're trying to sign into. Right now, I'm in my DC and my domain controller remoting into this computer one. And for you to, another thing you should know is for you to launch into Management Studio as a different user, this is how you do that. You search for Management Studio and then you right click, you go to File Explorer, and when you go to File Explorer, you hold down the Shift button and it will initiate you to run as a different user. Without holding down the Shift button, if you right click, you won't have that option. Okay, so you have to hold down the Shift, hold down the Shift button, and you have the option to run Management Studio as a different user on this computer. Okay, I won't be going into all of that. So I'll go straight into Management Studio. To arrive at the Management Studio, you will be prompted to connect through the database engine. I want to give you a scenario of the internet as a tool that allows your computer to interact with browsers. So is the management database engine. It allows you a connection to Management Studio from where you can interact with different instances of your SQL server. In the case of a SQL Server database administrator, they will connect through the database engine. And I would also like to mention that the database engine also gives you the option of connecting to other services. Just from here, you can see the analysis services, you can see reporting, integration. So that's it. But for us as a SQL Server DBA, we are connecting through the database engine. And I also would want you to know that, like, just from your computer, you establish a connection to a browser through the internet. Then you can decide if you want to browse through, let's say, Google Chrome or Mozilla or any other kind of browser. So is the Management Studio. Once you establish connection to the server through database engine, then you can decide what server instance you want to interact with. Over here, you can see on the top, I have different instances here. I have server 1, server 2, server 3, server 3. Server 3, server 4. So after this, so from here, I can choose which of them I want to interact with. I can decide to log on to connect to server 1, initiate a connection to my named instance and only other one. Okay, and I can use the browser to find anyone that is not coming up here right now. Okay, so and then moving forward, you can as well, I just don't want to miss anything. Let me see. So over here, you have the option of also connecting it through either as a Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication. We'll be using the Windows authentication right now, and the name of the user right now is SQL admin. Let's go ahead and hit the connection so we can connect to SQL 1. Yes, once connected, the first thing we'll see is the Object Explorer. I want you to know that you can move this around. Like I'm just going to show you that over here. Okay. You can move this around and just go, and then you can pin it over here. Once you move it around, you can pin it over here, and you on the top right left over here, you see this new query. When you initiate this query, when you click on it, sorry, there's a little slow, but yeah, here we are. When you click on the new query, it prompts this database finder here for any available database. And then right now, what we have here is master. Master is the master database. So just understand that when you open use this to open a query, it prompts up this finder over here for available databases, and you can access different databases on that particular instance from here. And that's one thing. And you can hit the execute button over here, and you have the option of also executing with F5. So basically what I'm saying is, let's say use master, and I say something like that, or use, let me see, I think I have a database called tech here, and then just it's for me to execute, I can either execute or I use F5. Once I execute, you see the finder change because I'm trying to run a query with this database and not the master. But we'll get back to that shortly. Okay. Close that. And also, still on the top side over here, I want to introduce you to a few things. Once we are logged onto our server, you have the option of expanding. You have the option of expanding and collapsing it. It also contains information. It also contains information about the particular instance. The name of the server is here, which is SQL1, and you can see SQL1 right now is what we are connected to. The software version is SQL Server version 15, and that means we have SQL Server 2019 installed on this instance. And then you have the update number over here. Update number is it's more or less when you have an iPhone, you get to update your iPhone, iOS on the iPhone every other time. That also happens with SQL Server instance. And you have the domain, which is SQL, and we have / the account that is running this instance presently, which is SQL admin. From a single management studio, you can access several instances at a time through the database engine. And of course, you see, you can prompt the database engine in two different ways. You can drop down this connect and connect through this database engine, or you can just simply hit this plug over here and it will prompt the database engine. And moving forward, under the server, each of the objects can be expanded in several steps or collapsed depending on your needs. So like from database, you can go into data, you can go into this database, and then you can go further by going into tables, and then you can go further by going into one of these tables over here, and all of that. And you can still go further by going into the columns. This is more or less indicating the columns in this. table, on this table, and so on and so forth. And you can do this for every object that is here, because there's more to every of them. Just as we have the security, we can go from security to login, and you will see the login, you will see the accounts that are logged onto this instance. So that's one aspect. You can perform actions that are specific to each object either through GUI or through T-SQL. GUI means graphical user interface. For instance, if I go into a table and I want to prompt, I can perform an action using GUI by simply, let's say I decide to right click on this and select top 1000 rows. That's what that does is you can do that. That's one way to find out what's going on here, or to see what is in this table. And the other way to find out is simply by, let me do this. I'll show you what I'm trying to do. This table, for instance, that's what it is. Okay. By simply right-clicking on the particular table, database here, and choosing new query. Okay. And I'll go in and write something like select all, and then the database that I'm trying to view, and I can then go ahead, and this is now using T-SQL, okay, and I can go ahead and execute. Let me see, what's the problem? Oh, sorry. And sometimes to find out to see whether your query is right, you can use this before executing. It will tell you if it's right or not, and then you can execute. For executing, you can either press F5 or you hit this execute. So this is me writing T-SQL to get the same result that I got over here using GUI. And I also want to mention that if you don't want to write the database name or the table name that you're trying to query, you can as well drag it into it, just like that, and it's still going to give you the same result. So you can drag, you can write. So that's how we do that. Executing query within the query window has to be specific to the available database in the database finder. Once again, you have to know. So this query is that we executed, we ran it over this database over here, because this table exists under this database. This table right here, and then this is the database. So if I collapse all of this right now, so this is the database we ran that query against, and that's why we have it here. So in the case where you have more than one query in a window, let's say, for instance, if I decide to say select all from, let me see, what do I have here? Trying to remember some of the things I have on this bridge one. Okay, I think I have something like this. So if I decide to run this query, different things could happen. You must highlight each command before executing, else the database engine will return both results. So what I'm saying is you have two queries here. For you to run any of the for anyone you want to run, you must first highlight it and then execute. Else, if you try to run both at once, the database engine, you see, because this particular one prompted error because this database is for a different, this query is for a different database. So what other option do you have? You can as well go ahead and say use, what database have this table? Let's find out. Okay, you can as well just say use tech, and it will, what this does is it will prompt this to change to the database you want to query, and that's what you just found out. And now I can run this query and it's going to give me, do I have anything wrong about this? Okay, so it still says the object is invalid. Let me make sure I have the right spelling. Table and bridges. Okay, I think that's where we're getting it wrong. So now this is correct, and I can now execute and it will return the result. So if peradventure I want to run, you still, if you have more than one query that is involved with this database here, for instance, let me select from, and I'm gonna drag one of these table here, resource this, and if I run both, if I don't, let me take this out. So if I don't highlight either of them that I want to run, the database engine will return result for both of them. You see, so this is the result for the bridge, and this is the result for the human resources employee. So you have to know that. And let me see. And you already know that if you run a query against the wrong database, it's going to return, it's going to give you error. So let me just put this. I know that this doesn't happen, and if you see it's going to give you error. So you must always ensure that you are in the right database that contain the information that you're trying to query. So that's one. And moving forward, let me, for every query that is returned by the database server, you will see the results tab. The result tab is here, showing the columns, the different columns in that table, and the rows, in the particular table. If you drop down the table, let me see, this is from where we go to human resources employee. If we decide to drop down this and go to columns, we will see all of these columns that we see here under columns in the particular table. And for us to see every other information in each of these columns in the rows, all we have to do is to, these are the columns, that the information in these columns. Let's just keep it that way. And a message tab, as you can see over here, showing the message from the server about the result that we just ran. 290 rows affected, completed time, and all of that. So, and you also have the option of exporting by right-clicking the end part of this. You can highlight and you can right-click here, and you have the option of saving this, the information of these results. Also, to the bottom left, you can see where it says, it shows that the query ran successfully. And if it failed, you will also see it over here. And to the bottom right, the instance name is indicated here. We are in SQL 1. The instance name and the version, just like what we could see at the top here, we still have those information over here, but we have more here. And we have the instance name, we have the version that we are running, and the account that ran the query, the account that is running the query. This 90 is referring to the section number, the section number of the section number. You can see the section number up here as well, of here 90. That's the section number for this page that we are running right now. And the database that we are querying is over here. And the time it took to run this, the duration of time it took to run that, it took the database server to run that query. It's a very small file, so nothing serious. And the amount of rows contained in the query that we ran was 290 rows. That is that about that. And if we go further to the top, if we go further to the top from left to right, let me mention that there are more functions here that you should know about. Like, let me say, you have some more actions that can be taken on your query. Like the pass I already mentioned earlier on, it helps you, it tells you if your query is correct or not. Okay, it tells you if your query is correct or not, and then you can execute, if you want to confirm if what you wrote is correct. And after the pass, I think we have the estimated execution plan. Estimated execution plan, and it's one of those tools that you'll be needing for performance tuning. We have the execution plan, we have the actual execution plan, and we have the most recent one, which is the live query statistic. So if I hit this one, if I highlight this execution plan and then run a query, let me highlight, you see, it just beside the message just gave me the execution plan for this query that I just ran. So that's how that actually works. Okay, so, and you can do the same thing for the actual execution plan. You do the same thing and it's going to give you a result that will, let me see, yeah, it will give you a result, and then it gives you the execution plan as well. Before, we used to have result and message, but now it gives you the execution plan for that query, for that command as well. And we have the live, we have included statistics, which if you want that, you can also do that. And that is also going to give you statistics, basic information about this other kind of information that you need to know about the command. And going further, we also have the option of, let me see what. So if you choose to view this query in text form, you can use this, highlight this one over here, and then run the query. Then it's going to bring out the result in text form. That's how that works. And we can undo it and go further. Let me see what else you might want to know here. Okay, you can comment. You can comment. You can decide to comment something on the query by just hitting this. And now it's now informed, it's not a comment, it's not a comment. Like the window, the query window is more or less is like a text editor, and you can write notes in it and all of that, and execute it and all of that. You can use it as a note as well. That's what this is meant for. And if you can as well uncomment that. Okay, you can uncomment, and I think if you want to indent the queries here, you can indent it. You see, you can unindent is more or less this, and then you can unindent. So that is that on that, and you can do all of that. And if you want to close the tab, you can close by simply clicking this sign, this X here, Xing out, or you simply right click on it, and it will give you the option to close all the documents. So if you have more than different windows open here, you to close everything at once, or you just close one after the other. And you have the option of saving the particular query, or you just say no. And the same thing over here, you can right click and close, or you simply close out by Xing out. And going back to so observe that three things has happened over here just now. You add the, let me quickly open one of these again. And so you have the object explorer, you have the query window, and you have the result section. Okay, just to recap. And if you want to undo, like want to go back to this, you can always Control R, and the result section will go out of place, will disappear. So every time you execute something and you want this, you want to continue, and you don't want to see this anymore, you just Control R, and that's it. And so we are back to the Object Explorer, and for you to disconnect an instance, there are two ways to do that. You can either right-click on the instance and disconnect, or you can disconnect by simply clicking this disconnect plug here, and we just do that. And it's as simple as that. Thank you, and I hope this video is helpful.